Hi there, and welcome to our video outlining the topic of hazing and hazing prevention. The goals for this presentation are for you to leave with a working knowledge of hazing definitions and laws, understanding the spectrum of hazing, the barriers to reporting hazing, how to create a culture of respect, and reporting options if you hear about hazing happening. Hazing is defined as any action taken or any situation created intentionally that causes embarrassment, harassment, or ridicule, and risks emotional and or physical harm to members of a group or team, whether new or not, regardless of the person's willingness to participate. We want to emphasize the regardless of a person's willingness to participate portion, because there is a misconception that agreeing to hazing makes it an acceptable activity. In reality, true consent can never be given for hazing activities because of the peer pressure and coercion required to carry out the acts. The University of California defines hazing as any method of initiation or pre-initiation into a campus organization or other activity engaged in by the organization or members of the organization at any time that causes or is likely to cause physical injury or personal degradation or disgrace resulting in psychological harm to any student or other person. It is important to note that the UC recognizes activities that may not have yet harmed but are likely to harm as acts of hazing. Here in California, we have Matt's Law, named in honor of Matt Carrington, who died during a hazing ritual in 2005. Matthew was locked in the basement of his fraternity house in extreme weather conditions and forced to drink excessive amounts of water, resulting in a seizure that led to his tragic death. Activism after Matt's death led to enacting Matt's Law, which allows for felony prosecutions when serious injuries or death result from hazing rights. Additionally, in the California Penal Code, engaging in hazing activities can also result in a misdemeanor, in conditions that are not likely to result in great bodily harm or death. From a misdemeanor to a jail sentence, no one benefits from participating in hazing, and the risk to both the victim and perpetrator is enormous. It's crucial to understand that there is a spectrum of hazing. Oftentimes we only hear about the tragic hazing events, leading to deaths and life-altering injuries. But hazing activities often start off more subtle in nature and are normalized over time. That is when they then build up to more blatant and violent acts. When we can recognize the lower end of hazing activities, we can stop them before they escalate and cause extreme harm. Subtle hazing emphasizes a power imbalance between new members or rookies and other members of the group or team. It is meant to signal to the new members that they do not have the same rights or deserve the same amount of respect as more established members. It is termed subtle hazing because these types of activities are often taken for granted or accepted as harmless or meaningless, despite the lasting harm that they can cause. New members often feel the need to endure subtle hazing to feel like part of the group or team. Harassment hazing consists of activities and behaviors that cause emotional anguish or physical discomfort in order to feel like part of the group. This level of hazing often confuses, frustrates, and causes undue stress for new members. This can look like giving new members meaningless tasks to fulfill, or have them perform duties for more established members. Violent hazing consists of activities and behaviors that have the potential to cause physical and or emotional or psychological harm. This can look like extreme social outcasting, forced alcohol consumption, forced calisthenics, and forced illegal activities. It is essential to note that even if the behavior does not actually cause harm, if it potentially can, it is probably hazing. The excuse that no one has gotten hurt yet will not stand up in any defense of hazing. When we consider hazing, another important question to ask ourselves is how well do we know our members? Something that may seem like a harmless activity for one member can be extremely intense for another member. Consider that we don't know the past experiences of our members, and putting undue stress on people can lead to extreme harm that you may not realize is happening. We know that 1 in 5 adults experience some form of mental illness. and it's essential that our activities are meant to build up members, not tear them down. While most organizations have strict rules against hazing, it still exists in many new member programs and poses a risk to the new members, the actives, and the local and national organization. One of the main reasons it still exists is that the local organization hasn't been offered adequate alternatives, or has bought into the myth that hazing activities are tradition. It's important for us to recognize the barriers that members face when wanting to speak out or report hazing behaviors. They don't want to get the organization in trouble. They fear retaliation or negative consequences from members. They don't know where to report. They don't recognize an experience as hazing while it's happening. They rationalize or normalize the experience as tradition or bonding. They think they shouldn't report because of their own participation in the activity. Here's how we see some of those attitudes in action. Members rationalizing their hazing by saying it made them a better person, or minimizing their experiences by saying it was no big deal. We're going to jump into a thought exercise where we analyze how some activities that seem harmless could be weaponized for hazing. First, let's take a look at how scavenger hunts could be considered hazing. While at first glance it may seem harmless, the scavenger hunt could involve illegal activity, such as breaking and entering and stealing the objects listed. Members of an organization could be asked to perform impossible tasks, or to perform the hunt at the last minute or during inconvenient times like the middle of the night. Members could also be asked to explore an area that they're completely unfamiliar with, without any guidance, for the sole purpose of creating confusion, fear, and undue stress. Now we'll look at how studying an organization's history can be considered hazing. While we encourage organizations to thrive academically, an organization or group could require members to rigorously study for a meaningless test that takes away from time they should focus on actual classes. Members could be expected to study for extremely long hours and forced to stay up all night studying, resulting in sleep deprivation. This is used to control members and take away their autonomy. Third, we'll look at how singing or skits could be considered hazing. Members or teammates may be required to sing embarrassing songs in public. The content in a song or a skit may be embarrassing or humiliating to members. This again creates undue stress and can be meant to degrade members. There may be an environment where even if an option of participating exists, the non-participating members are faced with social ostracizing and outcasting. Last, let's think about how requiring certain clothing could veer into hazing. Members could be forced to wear clothing that is humiliating or embarrassing. Individuals could be punished for not wearing a specific item of clothing. Remember that activities that are being done for the sole purpose of degrading members are hazing. Many organizations require that members wear business formal clothing for meetings, but this is done to practice professionalism and career readiness. It's important to note the distinctions and the difference in purpose. As a current member, think about what you can do to stop hazing. The two main things you can do are to create a culture of respect within your organization and not be a bystander. The first part of creating a culture of respect is to acknowledge every individual's uniqueness. You want to create an environment where members know it's okay to be themselves and that they do not need to look or act one certain way to fit in. Acknowledge that common values are the priority, and there is not a set or mold of what a member can do in regards to their dress or appearance. The second part in creating a culture of respect is to create an environment where people feel uplifted and dignified. Members should feel welcome and safe, not intimidated and ashamed. The goal is to create a space where members can grow and thrive. Additionally, remember to not be a bystander. You can use the 3Ds method to help you navigate your actions in a harmful situation. If you feel safe doing so, you can directly contact law enforcement when you feel there's a potential for harm. You can also distract the perpetrator and do whatever is in your power to remove yourself from the scenario. Whether it's making up an excuse or saying that a family emergency has arisen, do what it takes to be out of harm's way. Last but not least, you can delegate by sharing information with the Student Conduct Office or Student Life, and we can help you and the organization navigate the situation and bring about change. Please remember that by allowing hazing activities to continue, you not only put yourself in danger, but also all subsequent members, continuing the dangerous cycle. Remember that you have many resources and ways to report a suspected hazing incident. You can contact the UCR police or student conduct and academic integrity programs to report an incident. You have the option of going to conduct.ucr.edu to file an incident report form. We recommend that you include as many details as possible. The more detailed the report, the more likely the university and law enforcement officials will be able to take action quickly. If you want to learn about your reporting options, please visit go.ucr.edu/hazing. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope you continue to enjoy your time at UCR. Remember that if you want to learn more about hazing or any item discussed during this presentation, you can visit go.ucr.edu/hazing or contact the Student Life Office. Thanks for watching.